Bro, I hate rappers.
And welcome to the I Hate Rappers podcast. I'm your host, Greggy Westside. Today, I am down in Columbus. We're live at Classics Victories Live. I think that's the name. They got a couple apostrophes.
I think it is too,
they got Live. They got Just Classics. They got Just Victories. But we're here. We got a show tonight. So I wanted to bring out one of my guys from Columbus, Sam Rothstein over here. He's a booking agent. He's an artist. And he does a lot of other stuff. So let's dive into that. So what all do you do?
Oh, fuck. Right now, I would say I'm mainly a booking agent. I have a company called the At Work Agency. We book shows. We work for venues and stuff like that. Sometimes we promote our own shows, but mainly we do booking right now. Then part of that business is also management. I manage about like 8 different artists right now. And then I'm an artist myself, but I also have a videography company I have with my friend Verge called High Grade Visuals. So we do music videos and recaps and shit like that.
Awesome. So you said you manage artists.
Mm-hmm.
Managing artists. Saw a clip the other day of people who are like high-level artist managers or were talking about how they knew them.
Yeah.
Something along the lines of that, and they said everybody hates being an artist manager, and that's why all artist managers end up quitting and then moving on to something else and starting their own businesses. Speak on that. What do you think about that?
I don't know. Like, I'm 2 years into it now, and I actually really like it, but I can totally understand. I mean, it's just like, it is a very thankless job, but it's kind of supposed to be. And that was sort of the reason I got into it. Like, I had a lot of resources and knowledge and ways to help artists, but I didn't, it was hard for me to do stuff with people without like me becoming the attention part of it. 'Cause I'm an attention whore. I just am fucking good at doing that. But, I don't know. I wanted to kind of work in the background more. But the main thing is probably just because artists don't listen. Like, so much stuff about how artists want to handle their own careers, like, very counterintuitive. There's a bunch of stuff that just seems like the right move to make, but it's actually not, because the higher up you get, the more it is about business and less about art. And it's like, artists just, the higher you get up, the less they have a say. And the manager's supposed to be kind of the bridge between that. You're supposed to make whatever fucking nonsense the artist is feeling and going through make sense to the money people, and whatever fucking nonsense the money people are trying to fucking rape over the artists with, they're doing that. You know, you're trying to kind of stave that off and help them and guide both parties through it. So, like, it's very annoying. You're just on the phone with lots of people at the same time trying to make shit work. None of my clients are like divas per se, and they're all pretty realistic. And I'm pretty realistic about what I provide for them as a manager too. I try to just be like, what do you need help and what do you need actually managed with? A lot of younger artists, I'm sure you've had people ask you to manage them, and it's just like, well, what am I managing? Like, what is there to manage here? Like, you put out mixtapes, you put out music, you have a social media account. Is there any real fan base to speak of? Are you generating a lot of money? Are you generating money to where you think you could be generating more, but people are fucking you out of it? Like, what is actually the problem here? And 9 times out of 10, it's just like, oh, I'm not organized and I don't want to get disciplined. Like, that's the issue. Like, most artists wouldn't need managers if they were disciplined, but like, you're an artist because you're probably not that disciplined. Like, yeah, that's why I got here. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but I try to tell all my guys that hit me up, or not my guys necessarily, but all the guys that hit me up, yo, can you manage me? Like, in my DMs, I'm like, why do I need to manage you? Like, what's the purpose of me managing you? It doesn't make sense for me to manage you because there's not much to manage. You're at the level of where you think I'm your meal ticket out, but then you're going to get pissy and you're going to bitch about it because I'm not your meal ticket out because you didn't put in the work to get anywhere. So why don't you put in the work to get to the point where you do need a manager first? All the stuff that you can catch on our podcast or on a lot of other podcasts, that's just the same game that I'm spitting to my artists. Like, I'm not hiding anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And it's like, they think that also, like, because we know venues that we have some like mystical power, and it's like, it's just relationships, man. It's just, and you know, a lot of local music is primarily very young people. And when you're very young, you haven't really had the time to see like a 10-year business relationship get cultivated and like what can actually come from that. Like, so many artists early on hate hearing the shit about like doing stuff for exposure or for this or that. And it's like, yo, man, you don't always get paid in money in this game. And so once you've sat for a while and you've survived in the game for a while, you can see like, oh, it takes time for seeds to grow. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't just like sprout up like fucking Zelda or whatever. Maybe that was a bad reference or analogy, but I remember some Zelda game where the seeds grew fast if you did the thing. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of artists don't want to take a harsh look at what their career is and what it means to have a career off music. You know, and like, they don't actually think about like where the money would come from. You know what I mean? Like if Snoop Dogg's getting 40 grand off a billion streams, what are you getting? Like, okay, is music your income now? Like, do you have merch? Do you have, videos or content that goes back to a website that goes to merch? It's just, there's just like so much stuff. And I don't blame artists starting out for like not wanting to do it. I was like pissed I had to make music videos at first. Like I was like, what? You have to put me in front of a fucking camera? This is barbarism. Like I would never want to do this. But like, it's just, you get used to shit. But once you start getting in the realm where you start meeting enough artists that do it for a living, and it wasn't until the past couple years that I really started doing this. I've had people ask me to manage for a long time, but I always said no because I was like, I feel like I don't have enough to offer you. I just know venues. And most of the time people were asking because they're like, oh, be my manager, because to them that means free bookings forever. Yeah. And it's like, I wouldn't do that. But now since I've started working at Scully's, and I've actually worked with higher caliber artists, and I've seen enough higher caliber artists and high caliber booking agents and tour managers and stuff like that, I have a pretty good to vague idea of like what it really takes to be an artist that's touring in like 40 states and selling 200 to 300 tickets in those states, wherever they're touching down, like a doobie level artist, basically. And like, that's a person who's living off their fucking music, and they're definitely putting tons and tons and tons of money back into it, because like to tour across the country is very expensive. But I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, being a manager though, I really enjoy it because I am an artist myself. So I really enjoy indulging and kind of pampering their artist side and being like, hey man, this is about how you feel. Like if you don't feel right with this, nothing else is going to work after that. There's no magical, tip or trick to it, but it's just like, also there's very logical, real steps you could take to grow your fan base, because your fan base is ultimately all that matters. So
100% correct on that.
Yeah.
What's something that you think artist managers are able to offer to honestly, this whole podcast is targeted to local level artists, like local level artists at that. What's something that a manager can offer that is a reason why you should be getting a manager, and what's something that the manager can quote unquote offer, but you could really just do on your own and you shouldn't have a manager because you need this done?
A lot of managers, on the negative side, a lot of people will basically prey on artists and try to, they always have like a lot of snake oil solutions about like playlist placement and, streaming stuff and just like intangible kind of numbers stuff. But a manager you should go with, I'll just put it this simply. If you're a lower artist and you say you're like killing it in the scene, you've played in a couple cities in your state, you have fans, you know what I mean? You've made a little money or whatever on your first merch drop. You want to go with a manager that has connections. That's ultimately all managers are just people that know a bunch of fucking people and can make a call and put out fires quickly or fix problems quickly. Like, that's half of all my job is, and you know the same because of throwing shows. It just teaches you that, like, no matter what, fires happen. Like, no matter what, no matter how well you plan, there's unpredictable factors and things that go wrong. And the same thing happens with artists too. So it's like you want somebody around that's put out fires before, that doesn't panic about stuff, that knows the people to call, that has good connections, because those connections usually will go outside of your city, outside of your state, and ultimately you want to end up there, right? So it's like you want to do that. And so many local artists, they just have a local mindset. They're trying to be the man in the city. And it's just like, yo, man, coming from Columbus, no one cares about your fucking city, I promise. Like, no one cares about Columbus or the scene here and all this stuff. And I could write a fucking Russian-sized novel on how fucking beautiful and amazing the Columbus music scene is, because I've seen it and been in it for 10 years, but it doesn't matter to anyone else. And so it's like the only thing that really matters is just the music and your sort of image and brand and presentation to your fans. And because like one day Instagram will go under, Facebook will go under, TikTok will go under. But will people just stop being fans of Drake if that happens because that was their main medium of talking to him? No, they're real fans. They'll find him. They'll go find Drake wherever the fuck he went. So, yeah. I have a question real quick, though, for you. I love the name of this podcast because I totally understand, as a person who works with a ton of rappers, and there's like almost a subgenre of social media content that's just like either producers or promoters or people that have to work with a lot of rappers and them just shitting on rappers and being fucking so mad at their whole existence. But like, has it affected your business at all? Just the notion of I hate rappers? Like, I've always wondered about it because like you make all your money off rappers. Like,
so here's the thing. The tagline is I hate rappers, but I love artists.
Okay.
Like, the rapper is always the person who is not getting the business stuff done, is not caring enough. The artist is somebody who is getting their business stuff done, who is caring enough, or somewhere in the middle of that. You know, somebody who actually is putting in the effort to make a difference. It's
right.
It's essentially a SoundCloud rapper is what we refer to as a rapper,
yeah,
not somebody
sure.
who raps. And sometimes I get heat in my comments for that. I know Joey H said something like, you can't define what a rapper is. And I'm like, bro, like that's not the
Shout
point
out my
of
dog
what I'm
Joey
making.
Yates. That's my dog. I love him.
Yeah, he's good, bro. He's good. But like that's not a rapper. That's an artist. Like you put a full band together, you're caring about your stuff. I met him when he opened for IDK at the Grog Shop, which IDK is one of my favorite artists. I saw Joey H. I'm like, this dude's good. You know, but as a business mind now, it's like I'm not gonna fan over him. I'm approaching my mindset of looking at his stuff of like, okay, what is he doing? How good is it? How much effort is he putting in? So, shout out Joey H for being an artist. Like at the end of the day,
also Joey H has come and checked me a couple times. He's great for that. That's what I love about him. He will make you think twice about stuff. But I love the name though. I think it's a perfect name, and I actually watch the shit. Like I really do enjoy like the content you've been doing with it.
It's tough sometimes when we have certain interviews, and like not specific times I'm talking about or specific people, but it's just tough because a lot of people come onto the podcast with like without knowing it's I hate rappers but I love artists. Not at you, not anybody else, but they just don't understand that this is not to shit on you while you're on the interview. This is not to shit on like just rappers in general. It's to help improve. It's like it's more of an educational podcast, if anything.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of people just don't get that. So having the name be it is honestly just clickbait. That's the whole reason that we made it. I hate rappers.
No,
but
it's
like,
smart.
Yeah, but I fucking hate dealing with rappers nonstop.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like you can't sell 10 tickets for a show.
Yeah, can we do a quick top 3 least favorite things rappers do?
Can't sell 10 tickets for a show and complains about it.
Okay.
Has to be the combo of both.
Yeah.
Number 2 is DMs like manage me or like not asking how like learning how to do this, but like can you just do this shit?
Can you just do it? Yeah.
Like not even expecting to pay or like not even expecting to give me a decent budget to work with for something. And number 3 has to be when they're on stage and they're talking about like this, like I'm the hottest in the city or like this is the hottest thing or trying to get people to kind of be more interactive, but in a cocky way to where it turns the crowd off. And then it's just like you're not getting...
Or like when they turn on the crowd and they're like, fuck y'all if y'all aren't into it and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, okay, that was the last trick in your bag? Like that was the last thing you had?
100% get if there's a group back in that corner over there during the show tonight and somebody says, fuck y'all for not listening, I'm completely fine with that. I think that's justified. And I think that's funny to say and I think it's cool to say during a show.
There's definitely a way to do it.
If it's like a group right here, because like this is probably what, like 40, 50 feet back at least.
Maybe,
So like you got 50 feet worth of room and they're up 5 feet away from you supporting you, even if they're not vibing with the song because your song's ass.
Yeah, they're at least standing up.
They're trying.
Also,
they
fucking came out.
Regardless of whether it was for you or not, they're giving you a chance because they're standing right there.
Right.
Whether it's their buddy that's there that's making it happen or whether it's just all of them. It's just at the end of the day, they're being supportive. So don't call those people out here. Call those people out back there.
Right.
That's top 3. What about you?
My top 3, number 1, claiming this is your dream, being 2 hours late to a show. I've seen so many people that like claim this is their dream and like they can't get to a show on time to save their fucking life
without a valid excuse though.
Or everybody has a valid excuse, but I can't tell you, I must be bad luck how many shows I've had where people have dead relatives magically the day of the show. And it's just like, yo man, after like the 10th I was like a little skeptical. After the 40th cancellation because like, oh bro, some family shit, I'm just like yo save it.
I had one dude told me he got shot and he couldn't show up.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Like I've had a dude that like the police popped him at like the venue when he was walking in, and I was like, bro, I get it. Like I get it. But no, like definitely just being late though. Being late. Also just like rappers that don't have flash drives. It's like, yo, bro, I have been very broke. I've been very down and out and in the struggle before, and it's like, yo, they're $10. You can afford a fucking flash drive.
Well, let me ask you this: is if they have, no matter where they're at, access to the internet and or AirDrop, and they have every single song file in their notes, clean, dirty, whatever.
But they never do.
But if they do,
okay,
if
they do, yes.
Yeah, I know a few people
fine.
who have that because I don't carry flash drives.
Yeah, but it's like, to me, on some level, though, it's just like, it's when the people are coming up asking me for a show, and I'm telling them, like, hey, this is what I need you to have. And I don't like relying on the internet to get the songs in because I can't tell you how many times it's like, oh, this one didn't download or this format was fucked up. It's like, no, bro, we need to have a flash drive so we can check it right there. But the second thing would definitely be rappers that show up early with like 90 of their friends and try to just sit in the venue for 3 hours so they don't have to pay. That's very, very annoying. It's just like, yo, you're not slick. I had a Cleveland rapper do that with me one time for like a big like opener headliner show. And I was like, you motherfucker, dude. He was so annoying to deal with the whole night. And like it came up, he owed me like $40 for tickets or something like that. And it was like him and 13 of his dudes. And I was like, yo, before you leave, you need to come up with this money because like that's what you owe this promoter. And like all 13 of them couldn't come up with $14. But I was like, you all have 6-gram blunts right now. Like, how is this working?
Just sell one of them.
Yeah.
Or 2 of them.
And then the third thing would probably be when artists say, and this is definitely an artist thing, not just a rapper thing, but they're like, oh, it's the promoter's job to promote the show. That makes me want to fucking strangle somebody.
Like, why? I'm not going to put you on the show. If
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay, bet. So, like, no artist has ever had to promote their own. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Or when people call selling tickets pay to play, it's like, yo, man, the headliner has to sell tickets. Like, why don't you?
Like, if their name sells tickets, that's them selling tickets.
Yeah, it's like, yo, Beyonce sells tickets.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to sell tickets, though? Like, yeah. So, anyway, I'm glad we got that out of our system, though. That was very cathartic.
I hate people who say pay to play because, honestly, they're better off paying to play half the time. Half the time, they're better off just selling tickets because a lot of times you're not going to get a flat rate. I think if you do a decent amount of shows, then if you're selling tickets at most of them, you're still making money off of that. You don't need a flat rate.
And we can argue all day like how much money you should get off each ticket depending on how much you sell and stuff like that. And that's all fair game. That's in the negotiation. But it's like, don't call it this is kind of a spicy take, but like the people that get the most mad about when people say like, oh, you'll get paid in exposure, or this is like you have to sell tickets to do the show. It's like those are the people that don't know what to do with exposure. Those are the people that it's like, well, I need money, not exposure. It's like, nah, you need exposure, bro. Like, you actually do need that. You just won't stand in the crowd and get everyone's social media. You just won't put on a performance that makes people want to engage with you after.
So you gotta always have these.
Yeah, bro.
Gotta have your promo cards.
Yeah.
Hand those out to everybody in the crowd. I've been doing this since 2018.
Yeah, bro. And you travel all over the fucking state, all over the Midwest, and are doing shows. It's crazy, man. What's like the since you've been around, you've seen a lot of music scenes. What is kind of like the number one factor you see that's most detrimental to a music scene?
The artist in it. I mean, there's nothing else that can even be said. It is just the artist in it. Like,
yeah, if an artist does, or if a scene doesn't have exciting artists that get people interested in it, it's just no matter how many tricks and like cool things people can do, it's not gonna matter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking specifically about the local level artists.
Yeah.
Not the even like decent sized headliner acts. But Cleveland's is better than Columbus, and Cincinnati's halftime is better than Columbus. But Columbus can shit on Cincinnati or Cleveland any day. So all these cities have 2-ish million people in their population, and they can all go like basically band for band with each other.
Yeah.
So the difference is not really much. It just depends on each single artist that does perform on what show, and if they care about it. Because there's a bunch of Columbus rappers and Cincinnati rappers and Cleveland rappers and Louisville rappers, Nashville rappers, wherever I booked, wherever anybody books that just don't care about anything.
Yeah, they really don't.
And they don't like you said, they don't care to show up on time. They don't care to sell tickets. Like they think it's pay to play. They think this, they think that. They do this, they do that.
A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that a lot of people are in music and art because they think it's an easy career path. They think they're basically just too lazy to get a real job, and they're like marginally talented. So they're just like, okay, I'll do this because it's easy. But it's like building your music career is essentially like building a restaurant. Like you're doing everything brick by brick, and it's like a slow, long, thankless fucking process. But then it gets to the point that it's like, okay, I have a building, I have a working kitchen, I've paid the permits, I've got a couple people that work for me or whatever, and now we're selling some pizzas and I'm seeing a little bit of return. But most people would quit during that process. Yeah. Most people wouldn't do that.
A lot of people don't understand it, but it's basically taking 10 years of consistent hard work.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's within any art form, media, or
like
most
I'm just now hitting 10, this year is my 10th year. And it is crazy because, like, year 5, you start to realize, like, oh, shit, this shit takes a long time. This is not, like, coming tomorrow. And
one of my favorite examples is Jack Harlow. Like, it's like,
yeah,
because bro over there grew up with him.
Yeah.
And, like, he's been doing this shit since he was in the 6th grade.
Yeah,
He's like
I was
25.
very early to Jack Harlow because I was doing shows in Louisville and shit, and I was trying to learn about the scene. And by the time I found him, he was too big to book on a local show, but wasn't out of Louisville yet. And yeah, man, it is crazy how that happens too. But it's just like
on the comedy side, Shane Gillis.
Yeah,
he was just on Joe Rogan. He was talking about it took me about 10 years to get to this point where like I had my first special.
Yeah, and he was doing fucking YouTube skits and shit like that. Like he was doing a million different other things, and like he also got very lucky. Like like cancel culture made him famous.
Yeah,
like it was like an inverse. Like people uncanceled him or something. It was very strange, but
kind of funny. Is funny with that. But and then like on the other example, like if you have a restaurant, like you're not gonna get that nice big location until 5-10 years in. Yeah. But you'll still get lucky, and you'll have like a TikTok artist blow up, and some of these restaurants will boom right away because they're like hipster or vegan or something like at the right time to a certain audience, or you'll have like a Shane Gillis accidentally get inversed. But if that was like his 3rd year, then it wouldn't have mattered because the first like 7 to 8 years, like you're still doing the same type of level, just slowly progressing. So
yeah, and it also just depends on how much you're actually utilizing your time, sort of day to day, week to week.
Like he got a degree during all that.
Yeah, yeah. He like went to West Point, had like a football scholarship and all types of shit. Like but I just feel like people. I don't know. People think that they can kind of do this part time and get full time results. And and I don't mean like actually just like having this be your full time job. I see so many artists try to go full time or whatever the fuck that means.
You
and
don't
it's
have
like
the budget then.
Yeah, it's like they didn't think it through though. It's like, well, are you making that much money off your music? Like the only reason I was able to go full time is like a bunch of lucky ass circumstances of when I got laid off of my job. Like taxes just hit. I got severance from my job. I had a tour booked that had like a bunch of guaranteed pay. And like I just sort of after a month or two was like, well, fuck it. I don't feel like getting a job again, so I have to do this. But like you have to put 50 to 60 hours a week into your music career if you want it to replace your full-time job.
Yeah, mine was finishing up my last year of college.
Yeah,
and like last semester, I got to this was my only job.
Yeah.
I was working 4 days a week at a pizza shop before that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like it takes time. And then that was still me trying to be a rapper or an artist or whatever. But still trying to make music. And then going past that, like, quit that. Business is more successful because of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm spending the time to put it in. But I'm still only in Ohio and like slightly out of Ohio. I'm not booking nationally.
The thing is, it's easy for us in Ohio to be like, yeah, we're only in Ohio. It's like, first of all, Ohio is the 8th most populated state in the country. It's got about 13 million people in it, 12 to 13 million people, I think. There's a fucking ton of people in this little ass state. And also, like, man, we're like, maybe like states that have less population maybe have some bigger like AAA music markets and stuff like that or whatever. But like there's a lot of business to be done in Ohio. Like there's 50,000 songwriters collecting royalties in Ohio right now. Ohio the music scene in Ohio contributes about $2 billion to our GDP. You know what I mean? After COVID, it's probably a little less. But, there's over 2,500 venues in Ohio. Like there's a lot. And of all the states around us, we're number 2. We beat Michigan and shit like that. The only state that beats us is Pennsylvania, and that's because they have Philly. Yep. They basically have double everything we have because they have one East Coast city there. So, it's easy to say, like, oh, well, we're in Ohio and we're not even shit yet. It's like, oh, actually, we're, like, past 40 different states that aren't shit, and then it's us. And also, America's the number 1 music market in the world. So it's like we're already... Call it privilege, call it, circumstance, whatever the fuck you want. But it's like, if you're killing it in Ohio, that is not like killing it in fucking Boise, Idaho. I don't care what people say. Like, we're doing a little better here.
I could take the whole Mountain West, and I still can contribute half the shit that I've done in Ohio. But, yeah, we are running out of time.
Yeah,
it's pretty long. So,
well, thank you for having me.
On.
I'm glad we could do this, man. Good luck with the show tonight.
Thank you. So, it's been a blast, y'all. I hate rappers, but I love artists. See you.